Have you ever wondered what it truly feels like to be loved by a king and then destroyed by him? Anne Boleyn knew that feeling better than anyone in history. Her story isn't some dusty Tudor love tale buried in textbooks. It's a psychological thriller filled with obsession, betrayal, and one of the most chilling executions ever recorded. And here's the part no one tells you. The way she died was far worse than what you've imagined. Anne wasn't born into power. She started out as just another lady in waiting. Graceful, clever, with dark eyes that could make even a king forget his crown. When Henry VIII first saw her, he was already married to Catherine of Aragon. But Anne wasn't like the other women at court. She didn't bow too easily, didn't flirt too carelessly, and that ironically made her irresistible. Soon, what started as flirtation turned into an obsession so strong that it would rewrite England's entire history. Henry broke from the Catholic Church, started his own, all for her. Imagine that. A man literally changed religion to have the woman he wanted. But power, as history keeps reminding us, always comes with a price tag. And Anne's was steep. She was crowned queen, dressed in jewels, celebrated by thousands. Yet behind every cheer, there were whispers. She's a witch. She's cursed. She'll bring him no sons. Those whispers would soon turn into screams. By the way, imagine your entire career depending on giving birth to a male baby. No pressure, right? But this was Tudor England. Sons meant power, and Anne gave Henry a daughter, the future Queen Elizabeth II, but not the heir he wanted. And just like that, love started to rot. Now let's rewind to early 1536. Anne Boleyn is still queen, but her crown feels heavier every day. She's surrounded by enemies, jealous courtiers, bitter ex-allies, and Henry's new obsession, Jane Seymour. Anne senses the danger. She sees how Henry looks at Jane the way he once looked at her. She argues, she begs, she even weeps. But the king's heart has turned cold. And then, the rumors begin. They whisper that Anne is too flirtatious, too bold, that she's been unfaithful. Soon, the accusations grow uglier. Adultery, even incest with her own brother. Absurd, completely. But this wasn't about truth. It was about convenience. Henry needed her gone. And so, one day in May, Anne is at Greenwich Palace when the guards come for her. She's confused, terrified, demanding answers. She's taken by boat to the Tower of London, the same tower where she once watched traitors die. As the gates close behind her, Anne says softly, "I thought to be a queen, not to die one." That line alone could freeze your blood. Her trial comes quickly, too quickly. It's less a trial and more a stage play, with everyone already knowing the ending. Witnesses are bribed. Evidence is twisted. Even the jury includes her enemies. Still, Anne stands tall, calm, composed, even defiant. She says, "If any man accuse me, let him come here and look me in the face." No one dares. But you know what's worse than being falsely accused? It's realizing your own husband, the man you risked everything for, is the one who ordered it all. Henry, meanwhile, is celebrating his future with Jane Seymour. While Anne awaits death, he plans his wedding. Brutal, right? It's dawn. May 19th, 1536, the tower is cold, the sky is grey. Anne hasn't slept. She's prayed all night. She's asked God to forgive her enemies, even Henry. Outside, a small wooden scaffold waits. Around it, a crowd of nobles and guards gathers, silent and tense. Everyone knows this is no ordinary execution. This is the death of a queen. Anne walks out, wearing a simple grey gown and a small cap over her hair. Witnesses later say she looked almost radiant, as if she had made peace with fate. But beneath that calm face, fear. She steps forward and speaks to the crowd. "Good Christian people, I am come hither to die, for according to the law, I am judged to die. I pray God save the king and send him long to reign over you." She praises the man who destroyed her, a final act of grace, or maybe survival instinct. She kneels. There's no block. Instead, the French swordsman, imported specially to give her a merciful death, asks her to stretch out her neck. Anne's name is stripped from royal records. Her initials on the palace walls are replaced. It's as if England is trying to forget she ever existed. But history has a funny way of keeping receipts. Because the daughter Anne left behind, that disappointment of a girl, would one day rule England for 45 years as Queen Elizabeth I, one of the most powerful monarchs in history. So, in a strange twist of fate, Anne's failure became her greatest victory. Kind of poetic, isn't it? Henry wanted a son to secure his dynasty, but it was his unlucky daughter who made his name immortal. Still, the manner of Anne's death leaves questions that won't fade. Some historians now believe the swordsman didn't kill her instantly, that she might have felt the blow for a split second. Others say her eyes still moved after her head fell, a chilling but unproven claim. Whether true or not, her execution was meant to be quick, but ended as one of the darkest, most haunting scenes in English history. Anne Boleyn's story isn't just about betrayal or politics. It's about how power consumes everything, even love. She was brave, witty, and ambitious in a time when women were told to stay silent. And for that courage, she paid with her life. But here's the haunting part. Every time we talk about Henry's 6 wives, Anne's name still makes people pause, because deep down, we all sense the injustice. That she wasn't just executed, she was erased. Her story reminds us how fragile power is, and how quickly love can turn into a weapon. And maybe that's the real horror of Anne Boleyn's death. Not the sword, not the blood, but the silence that followed. Anne Boleyn's story isn't just a tale of love or betrayal. It's a haunting reminder of how power can both create legends and destroy lives in the same breath. She was a woman who rose higher than anyone thought possible, only to fall harder than anyone could imagine. Yet even in her final moments, Anne showed a strength that time could never erase. On the morning of her execution, she didn't scream, she didn't beg. She stood tall, calm, graceful, and unbroken. She looked out at the crowd and prayed not for revenge, but for mercy. She forgave Henry, the very man who signed her death warrant. Imagine that. Forgiving the person who took everything from you. That isn't weakness. That's power of a different kind. The power of dignity, of peace, of courage that no sword can cut through. Her final words still echo through centuries. She asked God to save the king. It wasn't just faith. It was defiance wrapped in grace. She knew that though her life would end that day, her story wouldn't. And she was right. Nearly 500 years later, we're still speaking her name, not as a victim, but as a symbol of resilience. Maybe that's the lesson hidden in her tragedy. That power fades, thrones crumble, and kings are forgotten, but courage endures forever. Anne Boleyn's courage didn't die on that scaffold. It became immortal. If her story made you feel something, if it made you see history through different eyes, then don't let her memory fade. And tell me in the comments what you would have done in her place. Like this video if you believe her courage deserves to live on. And subscribe because history may bury its queens, but truth always rises again.